Today, we're diving into a technology that's been making huge waves in how apps are built. We're talking about Google's super powerful UI framework, Flutter. But first, let's start with a question. It's a question that pretty much every single developer and business has had to ask themselves. You've got this amazing idea for an app. Great. But you need it on iPhones, you need it on Android phones, you need it on the web, maybe even on desktop. So how in the world do you pull that off without spending a fortune and years of your life? That's the challenge we're going to tackle. So, to really understand why Flutter is such a big deal, we first have to talk about the problem it was designed to solve. And that is the classic app development dilemma.
Yeah, so traditionally, the way you do this was, well, it was painful. You'd have your iOS team writing in Swift. You'd have your Android team coding away in Kotlin or Java. And then you'd have a third team for the web using something like React. We're talking 3 separate teams, 3 different budgets, and 3 times the bugs. It's just slow, super expensive, and honestly, incredibly inefficient.
But what if there was a better way? This is exactly where Flutter steps onto the scene, offering this really elegant and powerful solution to that exact problem.
Okay, so what is it exactly? Well, Flutter is Google's open source toolkit that lets you build beautiful, really high-performance apps, and here's the kicker, all from a single codebase. The key things to remember here are high performance and single codebase. You write your code once, and it just runs beautifully everywhere.
And when I say everywhere, I really mean everywhere. Just look at this. Using just one language, which is called Dart, your app can run totally natively on Android and iOS. It can run as a web app in your browser, as a desktop app on Windows, Mac, and Linux, and even on smaller embedded devices. It's kind of wild.
So how does it get that incredible speed? Well, a lot of other cross-platform frameworks use something called a JavaScript bridge to talk to the phone's native features. You can think of that bridge like a slow translator in the middle of a conversation, constantly having to stop and convert messages back and forth. It just slows everything down. Flutter completely skips that step. It compiles right down to native code. And that is a huge reason why Flutter apps feel so smooth and responsive.
All right, so that all sounds amazing in theory, but how does it actually work? Let's pop the hood and take a look at Flutter's core architecture.
The process is actually pretty direct. As you can see here, it starts with you writing your app in the Dart language. That code then gets fed into Flutter's powerful C++ engine. That engine uses a super high-performance graphics library called Skia to literally draw every single pixel on the screen. The final result isn't some interpreted code. It's real native machine code, the exact same language that your phone's processor speaks. That's the secret sauce to its speed.
Now, if you want to understand how you actually build a user interface in Flutter, you only need to get one core concept. Everything is a widget. Seriously, the best way to think about it is like they're digital Lego bricks. You just take small, simple widgets and you snap them together to build really complex, beautiful screens. And the idea is really simple. You see that button the user is supposed to tap? That's a widget. The text they're reading, you guessed it, also a widget. The image, the icon, that little loading spinner, they're all just different kinds of widgets.
But it goes even deeper than that, which is what makes it so powerful. The very structure of your screen, things like rows and columns and the padding that gives your elements room to breathe, even just centering something on the screen, that's all handled by widgets too. You literally build your entire app by nesting these widgets together into a big tree. Now, inside this whole world of widgets, there are 2 main types you really need to know. First, you have a stateless widget. This is for UI that never changes once it's on the screen. Think of your app's logo or a simple title. Then, you have a stateful widget. This is for any part of the UI that needs to change dynamically, like a counter that goes up when you press a button, or a list of items that updates with new data. Getting this difference is absolutely key to building any interactive app.
So, we've got the theory down, right? Widgets, performance, one codebase. But what does it actually take to build a real production-ready app? Let's take a look at the ecosystem and the tools you'd be using.
Okay, for any app that's even a little bit complex, managing the flow of data, or what we call state, is absolutely critical. Now, don't worry about memorizing all these names on the slide. The real point here is just to show you that a rich, mature ecosystem exists to help you. Whether your app is small and simple or a huge enterprise-level application, the tools are there when you need them. And of course, an app is usually just a pretty face without a backend to give it data and power. Well, the great news is, Flutter plays nicely with basically everything. So whether you're using Google's own Firebase, or a classic REST API built with Node.js, or a machine learning backend in Python, or even modern stuff like AWS Amplify and GraphQL, Flutter can connect to it. No problem.
So we've looked at the problem, we've seen Flutter's solution, and we've checked out the tools. So what's the final verdict on Flutter? And where is it headed next?
Let's be real here for a second. The advantages are massive, right? One code base saves a ton of time and money. Features like hot reload make developing so much faster it's kind of crazy, and you get true native performance. But on the flip side, there are trade-offs. The apps can be a little larger in file size, you do have to learn the Dart language, and it's important to remember, Flutter is for the user interface, it's not going to replace your backend server. But the future for Flutter is incredibly bright. I mean, Google is investing heavily, they're pushing for AI to help with development, they're rolling out a brand new rendering engine called Impeller for even smoother graphics, and they're expanding Flutter's reach into totally new areas like the Internet of Things and even in-car entertainment systems. And I think this final quote really sums it all up perfectly. Flutter isn't just another framework to learn. It really represents a fundamental shift in how we think about creating beautiful, high-performance user experiences for any screen anywhere. It's truly an engine for the future of app development.